Hey everybody, this is Bill. It's that time of year, and in this video, we are once again talking college football, where we will be previewing the 2022 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Can the Big Red get back to the old glory days and get things turned around under Scott Frost? The current state of the program notes Nebraska has now missed a bowl game for 5 consecutive seasons, something unthought of for half a century. And make no mistake, this is absolutely unacceptable. When the powers that be brought in as head coach Scott Frost, the golden-haired former Husker national championship quarterback, a great majority thought, including me, that he would have turned around the Big Red in short order. That has failed to happen, and although few, if any, in Husker Nation are not cheering Frost to have success for the Big Red, there is little doubt he is on thin ice. Although the Huskers played close in 2021, the season was a failure, with Nebraska going 3-9. Another former Husker All-America player, Trev Alberts, was brought in as athletic director, and after evaluation, Alberts retained Frost, but with conditions to include an overhaul of many parts of the coaching staff, with an emphasis on the offensive side of the ball. There were changes that were significant, and they were overwhelmingly received as positive. First, highly thought of offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, who most recently had notable success at Pitt, was hired. Whipple has extensive experience and success as a play caller, and most notably, the development of quarterbacks. Now, longtime Husker quarterback Adrian Martinez has transferred out of the program, which allows Whipple to mold new candidates at the position. The receiver position has failed to meet expectations for years, so another former Husker player, Mickey Joseph, has come home to join the staff. Joseph comes over from LSU, where he has coached many superstar players, several of whom are now household NFL names. Additionally, Joseph is a top-level recruiter, another area Nebraska has not performed at an acceptable level in recent seasons. Offensive line is another area that has underachieved, and this no doubt hits a nerve in Husker Nation. Donovan Raiola is now on board, and early indications show a higher level of performance among the talented group, which is mandatory for Nebraska to get back to winning football games. Remember, successful teams just can't run the ball when they want to. They have to effectively run it when they need to. So the offensive line is of critical importance. Last, but certainly not least, Nebraska has also brought back former assistant coach Bill Bush, and he will primarily be responsible for shoring up the special teams, which has been absolutely abysmal. The special teams play across the board has been nothing short of horrendous for years, but last year it appeared to single-handedly cost Nebraska 2 key football games, Michigan State and Iowa. Now, Bush has a great reputation, and improvement here seems guaranteed, but even a small level of investment here would pay big dividends. Frost and the coaches have really done a great job working the transfer portal as well, and there are several key additions that appear ready to be all-conference candidate-type players this fall. So with all this talent on hand and an easier slate, the Cornhuskers seem poised to be one of the most improved teams in the nation this season. The ability for all new pieces to mesh together without transitional issues will dictate the level of the anticipated success. There is plenty of goodwill behind Alberts, Frost, and the new staff, so everyone is hoping for a successful season. Failure to reach a bowl game, however, would place everyone in Husker Nation in a position nobody wants to be in, and a change would necessarily be strongly considered. So how do we see the Big Red performing in 2022? Let's get into it and take a look. On the offensive side of the ball, as previously mentioned, longtime quarterback Adrian Martinez has transferred out of the program, and while Martinez, who often flashed spectacular abilities, was a great player and a tremendous young man, deficiencies in his game management and turnovers hampered his progress. It appears that new scenery is the best option here for all parties, and all of Husker Nation wishes Martinez well. Now, Logan Smothers returns for the Big Red, and he's a capable quarterback. Played very well against Iowa last year. He's a smart player with superb running ability, but he does lack the arm strength that Mark Whipple will be seeking. So we expect the starting quarterback job to be won by one of two transfers, Casey Thompson from Texas or Chubba Purdy from Florida State. Both of these players demonstrate sound running ability, but Whipple, he wants to throw it. Thompson has a much higher level of experience and success in his background, including 3 games at Texas where he threw for 5 touchdowns in a game. Last year, he threw for over 2,100 yards and 24 touchdowns for the Longhorns. Now, while we like Purdy, and we're confident with him for 2022, along with being very excited about his future, we think Thompson's the guy who will win the job. We expect if Thompson can remain healthy, he'll have a big season, with approximately 2,500 some odd yards passing and about 25 touchdowns. Hendrik Harburg will continue to work on his game as a backup, and he'll no doubt benefit from the tutelage he's going to get under Mark Whipple. Now, working with Thompson will be a receiving room we expect to be much improved with their level of performance for 2022 under new receiver coach Mickey Joseph. Tops on the list of the new players is LSU transfer Trey Palmer, an emerging star who started 5 games with 30 catches and 3 touchdowns for the Tigers in 2021. Palmer is expected to be the lead dog in this room. Additionally, Marcus Washington, who played with Thompson at Texas last year, who had 18 catches and 2 touchdowns, transfers in and is expected to significantly contribute. There are several returning Nebraska players who will get a new lease on life, and tops on that list has got to be Omar Manning. Manning had 26 catches last year, and he has the look of an NFL All-Pro, yet he has yet to play at a consistent level. But he's a guy with a skill set that could catapult him into an honors candidate performer. We need to get this guy the ball. He's got skills. Oliver Martin has flashed some skills, but he's battled the injury bug. We look for him to be a contributor. Alante Brown is a guy with a world of talent who could become a valuable, consistent contributor. And Brody Belt is out there making plays whenever given the opportunity. Kamante Grimes and Wyatt Lure look poised to be heard from as well. Another player who figures in is transfer Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, who came in from New Mexico State. He could resemble Samari Torre in his level of contribution, so keep an eye on him. DeColdest Crawford and Janarian Bonner are a pair of freshmen who could see some playing time. Returning from injury at tight end is Travis Vokalek, who when healthy has been outstanding. Watch out for him. He's going to have a big year. Chris Hickman, Chancellor Brewington, and A.J. Rollins are guys behind Vokalek who are looking to make a name for themselves, and Brewington has made some plays in the past. Former 4-star recruit Thomas Fedoni has vast potential to position, but he's been sidelined with an injury ever since arriving at Nebraska. The coaches remain unsure of his availability for 2022, but man, he's got a world of potential. We'd like to see him get on the field and see what he could do. At Nebraska, under new assistant Brian Applewhite, the running back room is stacked, an embarrassment of riches. Gabe Irvin Jr. was the first freshman ever to begin the season as a starter last year, and he was performing well until a knee injury against Oklahoma ended his season. That was a non-contact situation. Now, early impressions in the fall camp indicate Irvin is back better than ever. Now, Ramir Johnson is a real talent, a versatile, mature player with endless skills. In the system Whipple will seek to employ, Johnson could excel from somewhat of an old wingback spot. I really like the thought of that. Now, Jaquez Yant is a physical freak, a bigger back, fast and powerful, who also through fall camp appears to have raised his level of game. Now, transferring into the program from JUCO is former Florida State running back Anthony Grant. I want you to keep your eye on this guy. He's a complete back with power, speed, and has top-notch pass-catching abilities. Grant is a guy who seems set for extensive playing time. Keep your eye on him. Now, true freshman A.J. Allen's a guy a lot of folks are excited about, including the coaches. but he's got a lot of competition to overcome, so he might be a guy for the future. Now, the offensive line has had its issues over the last several seasons at Nebraska, but new coach Donovan Raiola has the offensive line hungry and ready to operate from a position of attack, which matches the historical mindset of the program. Now, the best player on the line is left tackle Teddy Prochaska, who has not played that much, and he's also coming off a season-ending injury. Now, he's an NFL-type player, and he's expected to be 100% when the season kicks off, which is a good thing. Now, Turner Corcoran, also coming off an injury, is expected to be the opposite tackle, but he may move to left guard, allowing incoming transfer Keith Williams, who is seemingly a guard, to perhaps operate at right tackle if Bryce Benhart doesn't get that spot. Now, Bryce Benhart has started at left tackle in the past, and he's got great potential. I'm really looking for him to step it up and shine. So if he wins the right tackle, Williams is definitely going to be at a guard. So Ethan Piper, he's got some experience at guard, but redshirt freshman Henry Latovsky seems ready to jump in and contribute. Now, Brock Bando's a guy with experience at tackle. He can play guard too. And versatile player Trent Hickson, he appears to be set at center. Now, Oklahoma State transfer Hunter Anthony, he may find a spot as well. He does have a lot of experience. Now, listen, folks, under Raiola, we expect this to be an improved unit. An improvement up front will really benefit the Big Red. This is an area that has got to improve if Nebraska plans on reaching a different level of competition. Now, Mark Whipple has had tremendous successes with his offense, so we expect Nebraska to average well over 30 points a game. For this to happen, Nebraska will have to move on from the items of discipline they have failed to conquer in recent seasons. First and most important is protecting the football. It is simply essential to success. Additionally, eliminating idiotic penalties, especially those which negate big plays, is critical. Attention to detail in this regard will hopefully be a byproduct of the installation of the new offensive staff. We think it will. Defensively, Nebraska was quite impressive last season, and while there are significant personnel losses, this group under Eric Shenander has a chance to be improved from last year. Much of the optimism centers around a strong pair of rush ends in Garrett Nelson and TCU transfer Ochan Mathis. Both are expected to be among the best in the conference. Caleb Tanner really stepped up his game last fall. In this season, he will figure prominently once again, and I'm excited to see how the coaches are going to best utilize his talents. Defensive tackle Ty Robinson is a mountain of a man, a guy with pass rushing skills that will anchor the interior of the line. Alabama transfer Stephon Wynn and Texas Tech transfer Devin Drew are new faces brought in to plug up the middle. Now, Nash Hutmacher returns, and he's a stout fella, a strong guy who refuses to get pushed around, reminding some of us old-timers of old nose guard Danny Noonan. So consider Hutmacher my kind of guy, but he needs to step up his game. Colton Feist has been a great surprise in fall camp. Blaze Gunnerson, Javen Wright, and Jamari Butler are solid reserve players to keep an eye on. The Huskers linebacking core has transformed from somewhat of a liability to a team strength. Nebraska will seemingly be in a 4-3 on most occasions to keep the top players on the field, and that's fine. Returning linebackers Nick Henrich and Luke Reimer, who topped the team in tackles last year, are back and set for stellar seasons. Isaac Gifford, who has excellent speed, is ready to assume a nickel spot, although expect Chris Kolovaric to get some situational snaps there. Now, in reserve roles, Garrett Snodgrass, a Nebraska native, he's emerging. He'll back up this group. Senior Ativa Muaga Clements, he's played a couple of spots in the past. He's a solid guy. They can count on him. But freshman linebacker Ernest Hausman from Columbus is going to be a great one. He's too stout to keep off the field, so look for him to get in the mix somehow. The secondary is loaded with safeties. At strong safety, Miles Farmer, he brings a big stick and he's poised to challenge for conference honors. He also was injured last year as well. Deshaun Singleton is ready to rock. Look for him to find a spot on the field or at least get good playing time. Marquez Buford is a guy we kind of like. I'd like to see him shine at free safety. But the time is now for Noah Pola Gates to get in and reach his potential. Now, transfer Omar Brown is also on hand from Northern Iowa. Arizona State transfer Tommy Hill is battling Braxton Clark out there at a corner spot, but we look for Tommy Hill to win that job. Although we do like Clark, he's lengthy, he can make some plays. Quentin Newsome, of course, is set at the other corner spot over on the field side. With another year under Shenander's system, and what is expected to be a much improved pass rush, we expect Nebraska to field one of the top defenses in the conference. The linebacking core, as we said, is strong. The secondary could emerge as top-notch. As was the case last fall, employing a strong defense has the opportunity to keep Nebraska close in every game on this 2022 schedule. Abysmal. That is the adjective that comes to mind when describing the Nebraska Cornhuskers' special teams in recent seasons. In fact, last year, at least 2 games were seemingly specifically lost by mind-boggling special teams breakdowns. Additionally, the kicking game, both place kicking and punting, were significant liabilities. And that's being kind. Folks, you can't win games like this. So blow it up. No job, safe. And that's what Nebraska has appeared to have done. Former well-respected assistant Bill Bush, who has extensive experience coaching special teams, has arrived to fix them, and we're quite confident that he will. Now at kicker, the Huskers have brought in Timothy Bleekrode, who has transferred in from Furman. Montana transfer Brian Buschini, who was awarded the top punter in the country for the FCS division, has transferred in and should dramatically improve that portion of the game. There's nowhere to go but up. Now, shockingly, Nebraska was among the nation's worst in the return game. Good heavens. Now, incoming wideout Trey Palmer returned to kickoff for LSU last year for a touchdown, and he appears set to be their kickoff return guy, perhaps with Anthony Grant, who did that at Florida State, and Brody Belt assisting. Punt returns could also include Palmer. In fall practice, Tommy Hill, the Arizona State cornerback transfer, he appears to be in the mix here. Maybe Janarian Bonner, he's a fast guy at wide receiver, young guy. Maybe he can get a look there. At any rate, under Bush, who we have a high level of confidence in, this portion of the team will be significantly improved, and that will be huge in field position, hidden yardage, and confidence. As we noted in last season's preview, the Frost era has been a debacle across the board. Sadly, this is not exaggerating. Now, many national pundits noted Nebraska was the best 3-9 team of all time last year, and we don't find that analysis very far off from reality. But 3-9 is not getting it done. Now, Frost, seemingly under the direction of new AD Trev Alberts, did overhaul much of the offensive staff and added pieces elsewhere, most notably Mike Dawson and, of course, the aforementioned Bill Bush. We think these are very impressive hires all. Given these changes, with the talent level on hand and a slew of very impressive transfers via the portal, we think the opportunity to be seized is large. Now, tops on our list would be the overhaul of the special teams, which we just covered, which has nowhere to go but up. Installation of a level of discipline, which includes the all-important aspect of protecting the football, is next. We previously mentioned that also, but folks, if you can't protect the football, you're not going to win any games. Now last, we think a winning mentality has been missing. The Huskers were seemingly expecting to lose and not knowing how to win. We think this mentality changes. So provided Nebraska wins game 1, which we consider as it stands to be the most important game in the tenure of Scott Frost as head coach, a new era might dawn. Lose it, and odds favor a coaching search appropriately begins. But if we win it, we could be onto something. For once, we anticipate the intangibles going in Nebraska's favor and the Huskers starting out 1-0. Okay, folks, so what do we think about the 2022 Nebraska Cornhuskers? Yeah, I'm probably drunk on Kool-Aid again, but the odds appear to favor a Big Red turnaround this fall. There is just too much talent available, and with the additions of the transfers and the changes made to the coaching staff, if the team can come together and mesh through the transition appropriately, Nebraska should easily return to bowl game eligibility. Although the schedule Nebraska will face in 2022 is considerably easier than the one faced last year, it will still be a grind for the Huskers to reach their goals. Now, provided Nebraska wins Game 1, which we consider as it stands to be the most important game in the tenure of Scott Frost as head coach, a new era might dawn. Lose it, and odds favor a coaching search appropriately begins. For once, we anticipate the intangibles going in Nebraska's favor. Nebraska simply must defeat Northwestern and Ireland. If that fails to occur, all bets are off and jobs are necessarily in great jeopardy. We think Nebraska wins this by a couple of touchdowns, but before they have a chance to celebrate, they have to get back and get practice underway as FCS foe North Dakota comes to Lincoln the following Saturday. Now, although North Dakota will not be a pushover, even with the short week, the Huskers should win comfortably. Then Georgia Southern comes to Lincoln, and this should also be a win. Now, Georgia Southern is dangerous, and they have previously slayed some Power 5 teams in the past. But they are in the midst of a coaching transition as Clay Helton from USC comes in, expected to move the offense from the run-oriented operation we're accustomed to seeing with the Eagles over to a pass situation. So once again, with the transition, Nebraska should win this game by a couple of touchdowns for sure. So although at this point Nebraska has not really turned any heads, they should be 3-0 before welcoming in old arch rival Oklahoma. Now the Sooners are also in transition with a new coaching staff on board, but OU has plenty of top talent on hand. This game presents a huge opportunity for Nebraska, who played well at Norman last year. Now the Huskers can win this, but we will go with Oklahoma here in a close one. An off week awaits, and then Nebraska rolls off kind of a dangerous stretch. It starts with two teams Nebraska should defeat, starting with a home game against Indiana, followed by a Friday night road game at Rutgers, where Nebraska's played pretty well in the past. Now, we got Nebraska winning both of these, but they will be closer than the experts think, as Lee Corso would say. Then Nebraska goes to Purdue, who, with the help of 4 turnovers, won fairly easily in Lincoln last year. Now, Purdue lost their top 2 players, but they got some nice pieces, and they're well coached. Now, with this game on the road, expect it to be a toss-up. Now, what is the state of mind of the Nebraska Cornhuskers heading into this contest? A confident Big Red team would probably get this done, but with past history being a strong indicator of future performance, we may have to give this to Purdue. So at this point, we'll take Nebraska at 5-2. After another bye week, Nebraska hosts Illinois in a revenge game. You recall Illinois derailed the whole season last year by beating Nebraska fairly easily in the opener. We can see Nebraska flat here, and we know Brett Bielema can coach, so this game could be close. But we think Nebraska's going to win this one with it being a home game. So by now, we should have learned who the Huskers are. And if they're not in position to win the West at this point, we have to consider that a problem and a poor indicator of the improvement within the program. Then Minnesota, who is talented and has an easy schedule, could come into Lincoln ranked. But Nebraska must win this game, and we think they will. Then the Huskers travel to Ann Arbor to face Michigan in the Big House. Nebraska, even potentially at 8-1, would be underdogs of at least a touchdown in this game. Now, getting a win here would be big time, but even though Nebraska could have easily beat Michigan last year, do not expect a victory in this one. Here comes the measuring stick. Against Wisconsin and Iowa, Nebraska's 1-9 and 3-8 respectively. The Huskers have been horrendous, oftentimes just simply giving games away. For Nebraska to reestablish themselves as relevant on the national stage, this has got to change. Now, Wisconsin is down this year. They do not have great quarterback play. They lost a lot of folks on defense. And with the game being in Lincoln, and perhaps jobs on the line, Nebraska must find a way to win this game. And we think they do. Now, if Nebraska's 10-1 at this point, Iowa should really look out. But winning at Iowa for a team not accustomed to doing so is a very tall order. So we think Nebraska, whatever the record, once again falls just short in Iowa City. So in summary, Nebraska could win them all. However, they could also lose to the same old rivals, just like they have been doing. As we noted last year, the Huskers are so overdue for success, it is almost sound money to think this turnaround is looming. Assuming strong quarterback play and cohesion with the new coaching staff and offensive philosophy, we could say Nebraska could go 9-3, but likely they're going to get banged up and drop one that we count as a win. So we're going to say 8-4, perhaps even 7-5, which would seem a more realistic record for Nebraska at this point. But needless to say, this is perhaps the most important year of gridiron action for the Big Red in decades. Trev Alberts rolled the dice on Scott Frost, and I'm taking that bet. So we think Nebraska has a positive season, one that ends with a bowl game, and Scott Frost will continue into the future as the Nebraska head coach. Well, that's it, folks. Feel welcome to visit us over at the Color and Pageantry. We appreciate you watching the video. And let us know what your thoughts are on what the Nebraska record for 2022 might be. All right, folks, take care. Hope you enjoy the season. Go Big Red!